Gervonta Davis, one of the biggest faces and stars in the sport of boxing, and we haven't seen him struggle too much as of yet, crushing most of his opponents. So this raises a big question. How good actually is he? Well, it's no secret that Tank is one of the most complete fighters in boxing today, and I feel like a lot of his attributes are very overlooked, since after all, whenever people think Gervonta Davis, they think big power puncher, and that's all. But in today's video, I'm going to dive a little further than that and talk about all of Tank's best assets and the things he does good and bad to come to a conclusion on how good he actually is. Of course, we've seen him fight top world champion level opponents, but we've never seen him fight someone who is, well, pound for pound great level, so it may be hard to determine how good he actually is. Well, first off, let's look at Gervonta's initial fighter stats. He's 5'5", so definitely on the shorter side for his weight, which he fights at around 135. He's 29-0 with 27 of his wins coming from knockout, which would mean he has a KO percentage of 93%. He's a slick southpaw that has made his way up to the top of the sport, being recognized by Floyd from an early age, being mentored by him. Having Mayweather around you for your entire career will obviously mean he's going to share some traits from Mayweather, and we all know skill-wise, Mayweather is the best to ever do it. But what are Gervonta's best assets? Well, in my opinion, something that is heavily overlooked because of how slick he is his range or distance perception. Being on the shorter side, it will already be harder for Tank to establish a range that is comfortable for him, but his great footwork makes this possible. We always see Tank moving in a lateral movement, and his feet always adjust to keep him in a range that is perfect for him so that he can hit and not get hit. He always maintains great positioning and in his open stance fights, which means his fights with orthodox fighters, as there is an open space between their lead foots, Tank always maintains an outside foot positioning so it lines his lead hand up perfectly with his target, ready to counter effectively. If you haven't noticed, Tank also tends to make use of pivots a lot, mostly for defense and to evade his opponent's shots when on the back foot. This is something Mayweather did, as he also fought on the back foot a lot in the later stage of his career. As a shorter fighter, Tank has to move more for his defense, as he's always close to his opponent, closer than a taller, longer fighter would be, so it requires a lot more movement. He also uses his lead hand extremely effectively as a rangefinder in the early rounds to establish his distance from his opponent, so he always knows his perfect distance between him and his opponent so he can fight his fight. The next thing Gervonta has is also extremely overlooked, and it's a great ring IQ. I know when you watch Tank speak and act in interviews, you might think he's a dumbass, but he actually has one of the best IQs in boxing right now. His ability to set up shots is amazing, and his punch placement is always well thought out, as we actively see Tank looking for openings in his opponents so he knows where to place his shots. Something Tank does very well is trick his opponents into bringing their lead hand out by using his probing lead hand, which will cause his opponents to engage in a battle of the lead hand. And when that right moment comes where there's an opportunity, Gervonta capitalizes on his opponent's mistakes, which shows how good his ability is to think quickly and how good his timing is. His timing is insane to be able to time some of his punches landed, and this all comes from his years of experience and being around Mayweather, someone who has some of the best time we've seen. The other asset that Tank has that we all know about is his speed and power, more so his power. This man literally has some of the craziest power. No wonder his nickname's Tank. He has gifted power and a touch that can put you to sleep. To be a lightweight with a KO percentage like this is nothing we've seen before, and obviously his strength must be crazy, but it's more so the fact that his opponents are not expecting it when he lands, as it's usually a crazy quick, perfectly timed counter that they don't see coming. Obviously someone's more inclined to be knocked out if they don't see the punch coming, and not to mention his speed is assisting his knockouts. I don't really want to get nerdy on you all, but the formula for power is force times velocity, so we already know the force behind Tank's punches are heavy. I mean, Hector Luis Garcia literally bugged out when he got hit by Tank, and even said he couldn't see temporarily.
I didn't know where I was. I mean, when he hit me with that shot, my head still hurts. My vision is back, but that's what happened. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't see from the right eye.
So those shots are heavy, and times that by the speed that Tank has makes for a hell of a lot of power. This is basically Gervonta's superpower, and has helped him tremendously throughout his career, and it's one of the reasons to me he is near enough unstoppable. When you take a skillful boxer with a high IQ, and we already know those kind of boxers who are pound for pound stars and greats from being that alone, but then you add the crazy power to it too, it almost makes you the perfect fighter in my eyes. But perfect isn't always perfect. perfect because although I see Tank wiping out most of the competition, I do believe Tank has some weaknesses or some fighters he may struggle against. And there's two types of fighters I believe will give him problems. First off, I think someone who is unaffected by Tank's power. Someone who is just a monster and keeps coming forward, absorbing Tank's punches and having extreme aggression to the point where Tank can only continue to move for so long. Let's not forget, Tank is only human and isn't indestructible. In fact, his chin hasn't really been tested at all yet. So someone with a big punch who isn't affected by Tank's power might be a problem. We saw how much trouble someone like Isaac Cruz gave Gervonta, and although he overcame it, it was definitely his toughest fight yet. The second type of fighter I believe is someone with such an insane fighting IQ and skill set that Tank cannot even get near them. Someone who will box him for 12 rounds to a decision victory, calculating Tank and barely getting hit by him. Someone with a higher IQ than Tank himself. Obviously that's a huge task, and I think you all know a fighter I'm thinking of right now, and that is Shakur Stevenson. I think Gervonta and Shakur is the most exciting fight in boxing right now, and a fight I'd love to see. Shakur is no doubt the best defensive and most skilled boxer right now, and someone with the highest IQ in the sport. I know people are going to say, oh, but what about when he gets hit? It's not as simple as that. If Shakur is someone who can take impact off a punch, that's how skilled he is. So Tank's punches won't even be as effective. Shakur is very patient and will box flawlessly for 12 rounds with ease. But that's not an easy task at all. And if Gervonta was to catch him clean, it could be a big problem. But I'm getting carried away, man. That could be a discussion for a different video maybe. So what do you guys think? Is Gervonta Davis the perfect fighter? And could he go down as one of the greatest, like his mentor? Or even better maybe? I personally think he'll definitely be a great and a future Hall of Famer. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this type of video and want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload from us. That'll be all. We'll catch you in the next one.